everyone, Shanshay with the Geeking Report with our first book review! Yay! I am so excited to be talking about this book because it is the Dark Crystal Author Quest. It was released about 2 years ago, and it continues the story of the world of the Dark Crystal. I fail as a fan because I did not realize that the Dark Crystal had such an online and literary presence already. There's a darkcrystal.com. They've had this author quest. There's a set of books called The Creation Myths. It tells the story of Agra. There's a book called The Gartham Wars. I'm really behind, and I did not realize this until about 2 months ago when, for whatever reason, I got onto another Dark Crystal kick. I do this occasionally. I love fantasy movies. Dark Crystal is one of my favorites. Dark Crystal tells the story of 2 Gelfling who have survived the death of their race. One has been raised by the mystics. The one has been raised by podlings. They don't know about each other until this quest. And the mystics and the Skeksis, they are technically one and the same. They're from the Earth Skeks. They've been split into good and evil, basically. And the the 2 remaining Gelfling have to work together to defeat the evil Skeksis and restore their world, which is called the world of Thra, by the way, to a sense of peace and back to healing. The Dark Crystal Author Quest picks up long before the actual Dark Crystal happens. So let me actually put that in and make myself all dark and spooky looking back. This particular set of stories follows a storyline that takes place over decades and hundreds of years from what I can tell. No specific time is really given. And I did not realize, because I hadn't gone online, checked these things out. To me, when I saw the Dark Crystal, I thought Jen and Kira were like 1,000 years old because they say 1,000 years ago the crystal cracked. I'm thinking, great, 1,000-year-old kids, this is awesome. Can I live for 1,000 years? I think I was 6 or 7 at the time period when I saw it for the first time. That actually is a wrong storyline. I'm wrong timeline. In this version of the Dark Crystal, what is laid down on the site and in these books is that when the Earth Skeks arrive and they split into the Mystics and the Skeksis take over the Crystal Castle, and the Gelfling serve the Skeksis, and they think the Skeksis are these wonderful overlords that are a little bit weird occasionally, but otherwise are really good. Each of these stories builds on the fact that Gelfling are slowly learning this is not necessarily true. The first story by Vinnie Chiappini, I'm going to say that completely wrong and I know it, follows a Gelfling warrior. He's a warrior of the Crystal Castle, and he's met these podlings, and they don't like the Skeksis because they've already begun to figure out that the Skeksis are the ones doing this and causing the problems. But this warrior of the Crystal Castle is like, well, no, this can't be true. My lords are good lords, so I must uncover the evil person who's spreading these rumors. And he runs into his father, who has been banned from the Gelfling village because he didn't want to believe another Gelfling that had shown up to talk about what the Skeksis were doing. And these stories also lay down that there are Gelfling everywhere. They're not just in the swamp where Kira is seen in the original Dark Crystal movies. They're on the plains. They're out sailing ships. They're in forests. They're in swamps. They're everywhere. There's something like 7 different tribes of Gelfling. So the first story follows this warrior. The second story takes place maybe a couple years later, has a second warrior who's also has seen what the Skeksis are doing, experimenting on Gelfling, and is trying to warn the world that the Skeksis are after him. The next one follows some of the seafarers who find a shack that has a book that's been written down talking about the evil that the Skeksis are doing. The next one, it follows through the line so that basically what you're following is the Gelfling are becoming aware the Skeksis are not good overlords, they're evil. And each of the stories has a very distinct feel to them. They are in different time periods, they're written by different people, and you can tell they're written by different people. The Shadows of the Dark Crystal and the Music of the Shards. Those were my 2 favorite stories out of all of them, and they were by J.M. Lee and Esther Palmer. It's worth the $2.99. You have to get it from either Amazon or directly from Penguin's website. Buy it, read it. It's a really quick read. Doesn't take you long. It takes you maybe a day or two to read all the stories. They're very short. None of them complete a thought. They begin the thought. They do not finish the thought. It's definitely worth the read. And out of this, of course, they chose J.M. Lee to write the next Dark Crystal book, which is The Shadows of the Dark Crystal. I'm going to say that right finally. So pick it up, read it. It is available only for Kindle. This is not in a hardback version. The opening is by Cheryl Henson, which is, of course, Jim Henson's daughter. And yeah, I give it definite thumbs up. Go and read the Dark Crystal author quest. I love it, and I'll be reading it again. Look forward to our next book review. We already have a copy of The Labyrinth Tales we're going to be reviewing, and I think Henson's going to be a big set of book reviews for us for this year. So for you who are Henson fans and book fans, this is a time for you.